So hi everybody, my name's Richard Blundell. I'm an associate professor in the teaching stream at the Rotman School of Management, which is part of the University of Toronto. I teach courses in sustainability and entrepreneurship primarily. My background is I've done two things in my life. I've run global businesses for 4 multinationals in Europe and Asia, and I've been a part of 10 early stage businesses, mostly startups. And so I want to tell you about the international case competition that Accounting for Sustainability sponsors through the Rotman School of Management. It's in its 4th year, and it is sponsored by the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, Brookfield Asset Management, and CPA Canada. So all very significant sponsors. Today, we have the great pleasure of talking to Melbin Thomas at Team Zelen, who is the winner from the 2020 Accounting for Sustainability Case Competition. A4S is a project set up by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales to drive resilient business models and a sustainable economy. The A4S International Case Competition is a way that students can present their ideas and solutions to these financial leaders. We set a case topic, and this year the topic is around supply chain resiliency. You, as students, pitch your ideas to a panel of judges that include CFOs from global organization, and the winner receives a $10,000 award, and it goes to the development of their solution. Given what we are all living through presently and the massive disruption that COVID has played on the global economy, one of the things that we've been able to see is the complete lack of resiliency in globally concentrated supply chains. They've become extremely vulnerable. We see that particularly in the electronics industry. It is not just about delivering cost efficiency. It is about the ability for these supply chains to be resilient in the face of a pandemic like this, which is a sudden shock globally across and has effect across the entire globe, but also its ability to be resilient in the face of climate, particularly extreme weather events. So this year's competition is all about how do you develop resilient supply chains. So it's going to be very exciting. So we're very lucky today and excited to have Melbin Thomas, who is the founder of Zelen, which was the winner of last year's competition. Melbin, please tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Zelen and what Zelen is all about.
I'll quickly go through my intro. I am a Rotman MBA candidate, currently in my 2nd year. And prior to my MBA, I was working at Digital Green, a global nonprofit, where I was leading business operations, strategy, and product. We built technology solutions for farmers worldwide. And over the last 5 years, we were able to increase the incomes of 1 million farmers by at least 50%. And this is what drove me into sustainability as the whole landscape itself and got me passionate about it. And I wanted to continue this coming into Rotman. And as you can see, I am passionate about building scalable solutions, and that's been a recurring theme with me. How I got into the sustainability space, I did my undergraduate at IIT and did my postgraduate in environmental geology at the same IIT. And that's where I was working on a project to see the soil pollution that was happening due to tannery effluents being put into the Ganges River. And that's where I got interested in the topic, and my career has been in sustainability henceforth. A bit about Zelen it's a one-stop shop for retail investors to find sustainable investments and sustainable companies to invest in. And it also gives investors a means to look at their impact and how well they are faring with respect to other companies that they would have invested in, like fossil fuel companies or even companies which are polluting the environment.
How did you hear about the case competition and what made you want to apply?
So I first heard about the case competition at the info session held at Rotman, where they explained the relationship between the SDGs and the financing gap in achieving those. This caught my attention. here, I was passionate about sustainability in one of the best finance schools in North America. And the concept of responsible investment seemed to be this perfect marriage between what I was learning and what I'm passionate about.
Given the solution that you've developed, what makes you think there's a demand for a product like yours amongst retail investors?
So our primary research, so as in when we were actually going through this research process itself, we implemented design thinking methodology into understanding our customers and what motivates them to invest. And we figured out there was a latent demand for socially responsible investment products among retail investors. And one of the reasons why this was happening was that the demand currently is not getting addressed majorly due to a lack of awareness. We were able to validate this by looking at a survey conducted by the Responsible Investment Association of Canada, where they found that 75% of active investors were unaware of socially responsible investment products. And when introduced to them, they were likely to invest in it as well. So as you can see, there seems to be, okay, fine, these products are out there in the market, but not a lot of people know about it. And even the people who care about sustainability do not know about it. So this is what we found, and that's what motivated our solution.
So how is Zelen going to address that issue, that awareness issue?
So before that, actually, I would want to go into what our solution is, what the whole sustainability landscape looks like. So during our research, we found that there are a couple of things that are missing in this whole piece with respect to sustainable investment. There are investment products out there. There are a decent amount of ways in which we can measure it, but there is no conduit to actually take it all the way to the investor. In the sense that data that we have with respect to ESG investments and financial materiality does not translate one-to-one into impact metrics. And that's a huge gap in terms of translating that. And most of it is because experts also disagree on what constitutes its impact. And a lot of times these impact metrics cannot be measured. So there's, of course, that data gap in terms of finding what impact companies have on the ecosystem. And at the same time, since it is not completely, not everyone agrees on it, it does not come directly to the consumer. So there's a huge gap in this information, and that's where we thought that we could actually dabble and find a solution.
So where are you now with the development of your product?
So as I mentioned, there's a lot of structural gaps in the ecosystem. One key issue that we decided to focus on is providing the right kind of ESG data to financial advisors and financial counselors so they can advise their clients accurately. Currently, this data is not only expensive, but also not built towards making information available for retail clients. We're seeing a clear value add for financial advisors here and are working towards solving this.
So tell us a little bit about what your short and long-term vision is for Zelen.
Well, the short-term vision is that we want to build products that makes people, we want to build a product that makes people aware of where their money is going and what impact it has. We are trying to do it through two different channels. One is directly going to the customer, directly going to them through their financial advisors. So that is a short-term vision. And for the long-term vision, what we do know is that there is an increase in the number of our responsible investment products, and it has become much more easier for us to invest and make the planet better. So we want to be a stakeholder in this ecosystem and primarily focus on empowering investors, helping them vote with their wallet. This is a powerful effect in shifting attitudes about major issues such as climate change, gender equity, education, just to name a few. If investments driven through our platform are successful in mitigating climate change, even by a small percentage, we would consider that a win. And that is our North Pole, creating that kind of impact.
Melbin, I have one more question I want to ask you. Thanks for the advice that you've given to students that are thinking about joining the competition. But what I really want to ask is the advice from the winner of the competition last year on what it is that you would advise teams that they need to focus on to be successful in this competition?
Well, a couple of things that I would suggest is one is clearly communicate the idea that you have. One of the things that happens is that it's a complex problem and there are so many moving parts. But I would suggest that if you can communicate that in the simplest way possible, that would be a good differentiating factor. And without minimizing any of the nuances associated with it. And that's of course the challenge that comes with a complex ideas and complex processes is how well can you communicate it. And I think one of the key factors that helped us win the competition was that we were able to communicate our idea visually really well. And since it was a video delivery, and that helped us get the edge. It's not like we are the only ones who came up with the idea. There were other teams who had very similar ideas. And what helped us stand out is this aspect of clear and succinct communication.
So those are really good pieces of advice, by the way. So I'll just say that again, simplicity of the message. So for entrepreneurs, simplicity scales, complexity does not. So simplicity also, you could correlate that to focus as well. So focus and simplicity, those both scale, complexity does not. And it's the clarity of the message using visual means to actually express your ideas. So it's a little bit the storytelling piece that you need to have to be successful. You need to be able to tell a story and to tell it in a way that is visually pleasing and easy to understand. So those are great pieces of advice. The immediate next steps that you want to accomplish.
A couple of things that we need to do is we need to validate our solution with customers, especially financial advisors. So most of our time right now is going into just following up on leads and talking to financial advisors. How can we better help them with ESG investments for their clients? How can we help them with getting the right data? How can we help them help their clients? That's where we want to be in that space. Be telling in terms of the next steps. We want to ensure that this is inherently helping them. And then getting to the next stage is, okay, how can we, if we help one person, if we help two people, how can we help 10 more people? How can we help 100 people with it? And then take it to the next level.
So after winning the competition, we worked together over the course of the summer to start building this out a little bit more. Now you're into this process, which is really dedicated to people like yourselves and your team that have passion around the ideas that they want to build. What happens when you graduate? Where does this go?
That's a tough question, and you're really asking the tough questions, Richard. Yeah. So when we graduate, by the time we graduate, we want to be in a place where we have built a minimum viable product that our customers can use and is also earning some kind of a revenue or even an indication of the fact that we can earn revenue from it. And that's where we want to be at. Once we get there, then we will be able to take it to the next level by looking for the right kind of partners and investors who also align with the same values and at the same time are looking to solve the same problems. And that's where we want to be in April. Fingers crossed we get there.
I'm sure you will. So I think this is a great example of an idea that was born through this case competition, came out of the competition. Melbin built a team to actually realize his initial vision, and the team has been built around their passion as a group to actually try and solve this very important issue. And now we're seeing them grow as a team. And you can tell from what we've just heard that he's very obviously passionate about what he's doing and has as fully it has a full intention to continue working on this once he graduates and make this come to fruition, which is spectacular. So this, for me, this is a wonderful outcome because it started with a case competition that's planted a seed, and now you're starting to actually, build that business and learn how to execute around it. I think that's a great place for us to end. I'll leave the last word to you, Melbin. If you have any words of encouragement that you would like to leave to the audience about this year's competition, we'd love to hear what you have to say.
I would advise this year's participants to explore more in this area, in the sense, do the research. There are tons of issues that needs to be solved. And to be honest, don't box yourself with traditional ideas. You can be as innovative as possible. Our initial pitch was to build a blockchain solution. However, we later on realized that blockchain was not solving the problem that it was setting out to solve for our use case. But for the supply chain case, there might be a lot of synergies there with respect to implementing such solutions. So I would say go out there. It's like the Wild Wild West. You can figure out 100 different solutions for the problem being mentioned. And it all comes down to how convinced and how passionate you are about it.
Thanks a lot, Melbin. So we look forward to seeing all of you digitally from around the globe. We are super excited to dive deep into this very, very important issue coming out of COVID, which is all about supply chain resiliency. As Melbin was mentioning, you need to get out of a box, get creative as possible, come up with the craziest ideas. All we're asking is that you think about viability of those ideas and make sure that they're not just ideas, but they're ideas that have some opportunity for actual delivery and execution. And so, on that note, we encourage you to apply to the competition, and we look forward to seeing you in March. Goodbye, everybody.